At the age of 50, I cheated on my husband. This is not something I say lightly, and it's certainly not something I ever imagined myself admitting, even to myself. It's a confession filled with regret, confusion, and strange moments of clarity. My husband, David, and I had been married for 27 years. We met in our 20s, full of dreams and energy. Over time, those dreams turned into a life we built together, raising 2 children, living through ups and downs, and finally settling into a routine. Morning tea, reading the newspaper, and quiet evenings in front of the TV. It was comfortable, predictable. Maybe that was where the problem began. I thought predictability was a sign of stability. But as I approached 50, I started feeling a void, an emptiness I couldn't quite name. There was a restlessness in me that no amount of routine could satisfy. Then I reconnected with Joshua, an old college friend. It started innocently enough. Messages on social media, catching up after decades. But slowly, those messages turned into long conversations. I realized I enjoyed talking to him, perhaps more than I should have. He reminded me of the woman I used to be, the carefree version of me, unburdened by responsibilities. He made me feel alive again. I began looking forward to his texts. I laughed with him in a way I hadn't laughed in years. Slowly, I crossed lines I didn't even see coming. The excitement of rediscovery overwhelmed me, and I allowed myself to be carried away by it. Meeting Joshua in person was exhilarating. When he touched my hand, I didn't pull away. I felt something I hadn't felt in years, desired, alive. In that moment, I let myself indulge in the fantasy, forgetting everything else. It felt like reclaiming a part of myself that had been lost in the routine of everyday life. But alongside the thrill, there was guilt, a deep, gnawing guilt that wouldn't leave me. The next morning, as David brewed our tea, completely unaware of what had happened, the weight of my betrayal crashed down on me. His face, lined with the years we had shared, held a kind of love that was pure, trusting. I realized, in that moment, that I had not only betrayed him, but also the person I thought I was, the one who valued loyalty above all. I didn't tell David, not because I wanted to hide it, but because I didn't know how to tell him without shattering everything we had built. Instead, I chose to end things with Joshua. I told him it was wrong, that it could never last. Ending it was painful, but I knew it was the only way to move forward. David never found out, and maybe that's a kindness I could offer him. I tried to rekindle what we had, to find joy in our routine again, to see the beauty in the life we built together. I began to see him in a new light, not as someone who had grown predictable, but as someone who had chosen me every single day for 27 years. Cheating on David was the biggest mistake of my life, but it was also a wake-up call. It forced me to confront the parts of myself I had ignored for too long. Love isn't just about passion or excitement, it's about commitment. It's about choosing each other, even when the thrill is gone. I carry the guilt of what I did, but I also hope that I can be a better partner, a better version of myself, for the man who still wakes up every morning to brew me a cup of tea.